As the Commanders' coaching staff shapes up, we're continuing to learn more about some of the new men in charge for Washington.
That's right. Insight from former players is always helpful. For that, we bring in JP Finlay. We're not talking about his
not my
playing ball at BCC. When you had a special name for your team, we won't share.
That was a different team.
Right now.
That was a different team.
Are you going to talk about skipping school or anything like
that?
No.
That's for a commercial break conversation.
All right.
So you talked to a former member of Burgundy and Gold about what all this means. What's their perspective?
So Will Montgomery was the center for Washington during the RG3 days for much of the Shanahan era here in Washington. And one thing I've learned is offensive linemen usually have such good perspective on changes to the offense. So I got to catch up with Will Montgomery to talk about all of the differences for Washington now that Cliff Kingsbury's out and a very young David Blau is in.
In making their hires for their replacements, they go in-house young guys that have never run the room. Blau's never been a play caller. I know the guy a little bit. I think he has all the potential in the world. Still, he's never done it. O-line coach, which is a super important position coach. They go in-house. They promote Darnell Stapleton, a guy that they really like in the room, but he's also never done it. What is that impact to the offense?
Well, when you have a coach who's played the position, then they can be more technical with the actual technique and how you block a guy. I've had lots of different O-line coaches from college all the way through the pros. And some of my O-line coaches never played O-line. They were 5'9", fat beer belly guys that knew X's and O's and says, we have 5 blockers, let's go block these 5 guys. That's fine, but how do you block this guy? Historically, players who are coaches, they are not going to throw anybody under the bus. So there's an element of playing for a guy who's been there that's going to kind of be more of a player's coach that I think the players will like.
We'll have much more from Montgomery tonight on All Ears. And it's also important to think, he's talking about Darnell Stapleton, who got promoted to be the new offensive line coach. Stapleton won a Super Bowl ring with the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2008. That will carry some weight. Yeah, he's kind of young, but he's been around plenty, and I think the other players will recognize that. We also got news today. The Washington Mystics released their 2026 schedule, and we got some key dates for you. The season opener on the road against the WNBA's newest franchise, the Toronto Tempo.
Wow, all right.
Home opener 2 days later against the New York Liberty. Caitlin Clark's going to be in town on June 8th. And you get Asia Wilson and the defending champs in D.C. on July 22nd. Now, keep in mind, there's still renovations going on at Capital One Arena. So all of the home games are at Care First Arena, except the last home game of the season on September 24th. That will be back at Cap One. So it's going to be fun. I mean, Mystics have a lot of exciting young players to watch. It should be cool to get the schedule released and kind of know that Caitlin Clark
is going to be huge.
And the
I like
Wilson
what
one
Montgomery said there, though. Back to that.
Right.
Players coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about
their back.
I mean, they promote David Blau, who's a young guy, right? He's never been in that chair as the play caller and the offensive coordinator, but he was playing quarterback in the NFL not that long ago. Stapleton was playing O-line not that long ago. Clearly, they're going with younger guys. I think it's pretty obvious that Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury had some sort of disagreement over the way things were running, and DQ's getting his guys in that he knows going to run things the way he wants.
All right. JP, thanks as always.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, JP.